Welcome to All About Books, a virtual live pop up shop. I am Author Valerie Champion, and y'all, I am excited today. I thought yesterday was awesome. I think today is awesomer a word? If not, it should be. We have an awesome author that we will get to speak with today, as well as a creator, y'all, of a tool that I promise y'all is the best thing since sliced bread. I'm just saying. So you all are in for a treat, amen, as we bring forth our first author, amen. And I am going to bring her on up in the studio, y'all, and make sure that things are well on my end. All right. Hallelujah. Amen. Good to have you, my sister, Mrs. and Arthur. I don't know. Wait, you're a miss, right? You're not married.
No, yes, I am married.
You are married. Okay. Well, Mrs. Terry Horton Morton, I am ecstatic to have you, to speak with you today. And so what I'm going to do today, I am going to just turn this here little music down we have in the background, turn it on off. All right. So, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So where are you right now? Where are you?
I'm in my home office right now. You know, my little pink home office, as you could tell. my little pink space. So yes.
Well, we're going to dive on into the interview. We only have 30 minutes, and I don't want to waste time because I want people to get to know you, and I want people to get to know about your book. So if you want to just take a few minutes and just share with our audience about yourself, you can share as little or as much about yourself. Just let me know when you're done, and I'm gonna let you have the floor right now.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Taryn Horton Morton, and I am a Horton that married a Morton, just in case you were wondering. A little bit about myself. I am originally from Mount Vernon, New York, and I have been writing roughly since I was 8 years old. I always tell the story of that's when I found out I wanted to be a writer when I was 8, only because I had to do a Martin Luther King essay. And I won this little award because of how creative I was at 8 in front of the entire class. So from that point on, I knew I wanted to tell these wonderful stories. Big into fairy tales, only because I grew up listening to fairy tales. So every single night before I went to bed, my mom would read me these fairy tales, and I grew up wanting to visit lands I'd never seen before, see things I've never seen before, done things I've never done before. And I always found myself just very curious about the world from these stories that you heard, whether it's Hansel and Gretel, Cinderella, Snow White, you name it. I loved it, and I still do. And so as I got older, going to college and just having different life experiences, it wasn't until I was in my 20s where I really had my real contact with God. I always knew of my purpose, that I wanted to do more, but it wasn't until my 20s where I was in different situations where I really got to know his presence. And once I became a mom and once I became a wife, a lot of things really correlated with all the things that he wanted me to do and be. And I found myself really enjoying his presence just by myself. And especially once I got saved. So as I got older, I kind of not ran, but I did fall off of my writing like I used to, because of course I got into life and doing different things, just like most of us women do. We find ourselves in a place or a space where the dreams we used to have, they kind of get pushed aside because we have roles that we have to do. We have different things that come into play. So we have to put those childish things aside, not knowing that a lot of the childish things that we were pursuing were our godly purpose in the first place. So it's funny that, and fast forward, it's funny how a few years after having my children, I suddenly found myself back in the writing space by blogging. And that was only brought up to me through a coworker to try to blog and just tell about myself. So once I started on that path and then realized that suddenly I had a story to tell because I could tell a good story, but also I had a testimony on where I've been and how far I've come. But I also have a love of fairy tales in which a lot of things depicted in the Bible are fairy tale ish. Because when you do read a lot of the things in there, especially the different stories, Adam and Eve, and a lot of the miracles of Jesus, we really, it's kind of like a fairy tale because we have to see to believe without actually the physical manifestation of it. So once God put that on my heart that I can lump these two together, faith and fairy tales, this began my journey of becoming an author to write about faith and fairy tales. And this is where Faitharella kind of got born. So a modern Faitharella story is actually the first book in a series of books just talking about my fairy tale journey in faith. So that's just a little bit about me. I don't want to keep on going, but yes, that's how it all began and that's how it was birthed.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, you did answer one of my questions, and
Uh-huh.
I was going to ask, had you always aspired to be an author? I know when, growing up, I used to love to write. And so
Hmm.
but I never thought about, that I would actually have a book out there.
Right.
And,
Hmm.
so and so are you still in New York? You say you grew
Hmm.
up in Mount Vernon, New
No,
York.
no, no, no. We moved down south to Virginia, but we go frequently back and forth. All of my family and everything is still back home in New York. So yes.
Okay. So getting to the book.
Hmm.
Why did you write a modern Faitharella story? And what does the subtitle? I guess this would be the subtitle. Their innocence, my hustle, our growth. Can you
Right.
tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Well, the a modern Faitharella story is based upon my one of my favorite fairy tales, which is Cinderella, and in which in the Cinderella story, it was more of a rags to riches story, but it happened because of the outward things and the physical things that were going on within her life with the mean stepmother and her sisters and all these different manifestations on the outside. But my story of Faitharella is the manifestations of God working on the inside.
Mhm.
So the reason why I was able to become Faitharella, and I talk about being Faitharella, is that my rags were happening on the internal and that my riches had to happen on the external once I got all the raggedy stuff out of my system. And that was where all the I had the evil step siblings, but they were but evil flaws. They were evil things that were always upon me that I had to always fight against, not knowing I had these things. But that's where that Faitharella story comes in because I was able to overcome those things so that I can embrace not a godmother, but God Himself. And that's how I was able to get the fairy tale life that I was able to obtain through having faith in God. And their innocence comes from me talking about a past betrayal of one of our ancestor, we'll say, Adam and Eve, and basically, we were innocent. We were in this lovely place called Eden, and we had everything going on, but suddenly there was one little question that had to happen and which changed the mindset of both of them, and then all of a sudden they took a bite and their innocence was gone. So their innocence correlates roughly with all of our innocence as well, because we had that basis of starting out that innocent conversation, that innocent relationship we had with God, and just allowing Him to guide us. And that's what He still wants us to do. But we tend to allow outside forces, serpents of all different kinds, to talk us out of what we are supposed to get from Him, the blessings, the promise, the purposes that we have to know for ourselves. So our innocence was lost. And then the hustle comes from me just realizing that I have to do these certain things
Mhm.
and certain work within myself. Like Adam and Eve needed to do work within themselves to understand that they lost that promise. Not to say they lost God, because God will never, leave us nor forsake us. But at the same time, that connection was lost. So
Right.
we all are hustling continuously to build that connection with Him and be who we're supposed to be within Christ and within the body of the kingdom. And so that hustle had to happen. And then our growth, well, that goes for without saying, we are growing. As soon as we take that leap of faith, as soon as we say, yes, God, as soon as we or submit ourselves to our will. Yes, I said that word, submit. Oof.
Commit, yes.
But yes, we have to submit to his will. And once we actually submit to his will, the growth really happens. We don't grow unless we're willing to make the sacrifice and the change. And a lot of times with us, with people, with women and men, it's hard to do that. It's hard to sit there and change. But that's why I wanted to discuss those three things within the premise of a background of a fairy tale, because we're living a life of a fairy tale no matter what we're trying to pursue, because at the end of the day, we all have dreams. We all have things we want to do. We all have things we want to pursue, but we can only pursue those things and the right things once we discover our true nature, which is being God's children. So, yes.
Awesome, awesome. And in your when you mentioned, their innocence and their innocence was lost. And it's
Yes.
funny as it what actually came to my mind was
Mhm.
just Jesus telling us that, we should come to him as little children.
Yes.
Our mindset should be, because kids are innocents.
Yes.
Honestly, it's like, but it's the things that we allow our children to intake, and that will
Yes.
poison their mind. So, but
Absolutely.
overall, children are innocents. So,
Innocent, absolutely. And I was thinking about that same thing the other day, in the fact that when I look at my children and even how they approach different situations, they're approaching them so openly, so ready to trust, so ready to build on something before all the other messy stuff comes in. But they innocently go into every situation. And that's what Jesus wants us to do: innocently follow, not, without question, without doubt, without just, hey, I have a place for you, I have you, I got you, I just need you to trust. And that's all he requires of us. So yeah, that innocence is, yeah, we can get it back, but we have to work on it.
it's a continual
Yes.
process anyway. The
Yes.
journey doesn't
Journey.
stop
Oh,
until we are
no, it
gone.
doesn't. No,
You
it
know,
doesn't.
and
Consistently.
right, exactly.
Yes.
So, a modern Faithrella story.
Yes.
What can readers expect to learn from your story?
Well, they could expect to learn that each one of us have flaws that we all have to overcome. And it
Definitely.
might not be the flaws, the step siblings that I dealt with, but we all have them. We all have something from our past. We all have something that we try to, put to the side and say it doesn't bother us, but we're still hearing those things in our ear to say, no, you're not worth it. No, you can't do this. No, don't try this. And it comes from just different situations we've all been in, whether it's childhood things, whatever it may be. Relationships are hard, you know, and sometimes when it comes down to understanding our flaws, it's hard to really sit in that. So when you're reading my book, I fully let every reader know that I understand. I'm in it. I've been there. I didn't come from a churchy background. I tell this to people all the time. I didn't
Mhm.
grow up in the church. I didn't grow up as as a church kid. So a lot of the things that I learned and I talk about is just from me as an adult, understanding and realizing. I never even went to vacation Bible school. Yes, I know. I never went because I didn't grow up in that environment. So as a full grown adult, getting to understand these things, I feel like God has said, okay, now we're going to take care of that little girl that you were, but still
Mhm.
didn't have a lot of those needs met, by talking about those things, by uncovering a lot of those things within your story that can help others with theirs. Because we all got this little girl, a little boy inside of us that's still struggling with different things that we put away as adults or try to, but it always comes out in different ways. So when you're reading the book, I just want everybody to know we can all live a fairy tale. I don't care who you are. We all want it. We all need it. We want to be accepted. And the only way we can be accepted is through God, is through the love of God. And we could all live that paradise life that we're supposed to. And we're meant for that. He already promised it. So I want them to know that we're in this together, and there is a positive story to every, negative story.
Okay, there is a paragraph in your,
Hmm.
I believe this is the introduction part of your book that I want to just take some time and read this, and I want our listeners to actually just see if you see yourself in this. And I say
Hmm.
that because as I was reading it, I saw myself in this. And let me just read what she wrote. She wrote, "I used to leap at every beck and call, trying to fulfill what I thought was my key to happiness at the time. I did not follow God's direction or guidance, or I would use God just like a fairy godparent. Instead of allowing him to show me exactly how amazing I was already, I later realized this pertinent detail within myself and have been amazed at how God has purposed me ever since." Now that radiated with me.
Hmm.
Can you just speak just a little about that particular paragraph?
Well, in talking about my past, um, I would, we've been talking a lot about, and I've been hearing a lot of people talk about people pleasing.
Yes.
So I was a people pleaser. I wanted to have friends. I wanted to have the acceptance of family. I'm the firstborn, the first grandchild, the first everything. So a lot of things, you know, without anybody doing this, but there was a responsibility I felt to
Yes. Mhm.
always play the part, be this person. I need to have this going on and have that going on. And so I would leap to the beck and call of the enemy, consistently putting, crazy thoughts in my head that, oh yeah, you got that A, but it's really not enough. Oh yeah, 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 you haven't, you're looking nice today, but look at your face. It's different little things that I would consistently find myself always having a negative thing to say about myself. Nobody had to say anything. Everybody could say how wonderful I was, but there was always these different things that I was leaning to say, "Oh, well, I'm still not good enough, so let me just try to do more, try to do the most, and let me be the loudest in the room, let me be the most this." And suddenly I found myself just more being a chameleon for each and every situation. So I was never myself. I was just for whatever the situation called. Hey, I need to be this today. I need to be that today. For this group of people, I'll be this. I'll be quiet over here. And so there was a sudden drop in my own self-esteem, that only happened around that
Mhm.
puberty
Self-doubt.
age.
Mhm.
Suddenly I was like, oh, I really hate myself, actually. And I would say that to myself. And I look back at those times like I had to heal that little girl. I had to heal that 11, 12, 13-year-old, consistently telling herself that she was ugly, that she wasn't good enough. So the leaping had to stop. Once I said no more, and I had to, go into the mirror and even tell myself how beautiful I was. That was hard. That was a hard thing, just to look at myself in the mirror and say, hey, Taryn, you are awesome. You're amazing. You're smart. You're courageous. You're bold, saying all these wonderful things about myself. And I'm like, nobody else, I don't need a requirement of anybody else to say that. So that's where that leaping to the beck and call, and God saying, I already let you know how amazing and wonderful you are. I'm
Already.
telling you that
Yeah.
since you were born. You're here for a reason. So suddenly now I'm like, okay, God, I got it.
I got it. I
Yeah,
understand. It's clear. The bell has sounded.
exactly,
And,
exactly.
and I wanted to read that because
Mhm,
I kind of felt that was where you was coming from. And when I tell you that is where I was, I
mhm.
literally, had to. And I know some people, may shun affirmations, but
Right.
I literally had to write affirmations. And like you
Yeah.
said, wake up every morning and look in the mirror and tell myself,
Yeah.
Valerie, You're beautiful. Valerie,
Yes.
you're enough.
Yes.
Valerie, God has chosen you.
Yes.
And I wanted to share because I know
Mm,
if it's you and I,
yeah.
we're not the only one.
Yes. Oh, we're not. We are not.
So I wanted to get that out there. So we already kind of hit on, but I just wanted to just make sure because anybody, that
Mhm.
have dreams or anybody that has had, to have transitioned from a previous life to one where they're walking with God,
Mhm.
this book will they can relate. But
Right.
who is your actual target audience for this book?
I want to say it's women. I will say it's definitely women, and for the most part, well, I will say it's my generation, the millennials, and the previous one, Gen X's, because that's where we were right there to we were in the midst of the old embracing the new.
Yes.
So it's that middle age where there was a bunch of fairy tales that we all grew up listening to. That was a part of going to the library as a kid. And I can only talk to women of a certain age, but we went to the library and we literally, that was like the highlight of my week, was getting these fairy tale books. And yes, I got the Dr. Seuss's and all that, but it was nothing like getting a book for, Hansel and Gretel. And that was a scary book to me. But yes, but different things where it's like, oh, and I could read them, and the way and it wasn't even the pictures, the way they depicted these places and these times and what the women wore and just the gallantry, everything was so wrapped up in these words that as a kid of that age, the 80s, you're like, oh my gosh, there is more than what I'm seeing around me. I want to do these things. I want to grow up and be.
Yes.
We always
Yes.
talk about being ballerinas, knight in shining armor. That was all we talked about. And that was the guys too. So that's why a lot of the times that's where I kind of come from with what I'm talking about as far as the fairy tale. This is what we knew. This is,
Right.
but suddenly everything has become so ugh. I don't know how to describe it, but it's not the same way. Nobody's dreaming anymore. Nobody's like really taking the time to be like, oh, I could see doing things that I've never done before. It's so hunked in reality, where that's where a lot of the greatness of God comes from, because
Yeah.
we're literally manifesting the things that he's giving us, as far as the vision, but we're putting it, in place physically. But it only comes from that. It only
Media
comes from that connection
relationship.
to
Yeah.
him.
Yes.
And that's how a lot of the great things have been built. And settle for years because of that. But we have to tap into that side of our brains and our hearts again to realize that we can, dream, and, we can do different things that we've never done before. But that's,
Right.
I'm just targeting, those women who are right with me. We're wives, we're moms, we're all that, but we still got some
Yes.
going on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome. I am going to I'm going to share
Hmm.
right now, people, ladies and gentlemen, her book. And I am also going to drop the link in the comments section
Hmm.
on where you can purchase her book. This is directly from her website.
Hmm.
And her book is also on Amazon,
Yes.
and you can also get a copy on Amazon as well. And I believe I can
And
put the
Books a Million, you can go to Books a Million, Barnes and Noble. They all have those as well. So,
y'all take
the
notes.
major booksellers. Yes, absolutely.
Awesome, y'all take notes. So let me ask you, we still have a
Uh-huh.
few more minutes, and I want you to just share some wisdom with our audience, of course, and where they can find you on your social media platform.
Well, everybody can find me on Instagram or Twitter. I'm at our Spark blog, our Spark. Hold on. Sorry. That is my blog, but it's My Godly Spark. is for my Instagram and my Twitter. And then I'm on LinkedIn as well under Taryn Horton Morton. So you could definitely find me there, those three places. My Godly Spark on both of those. So yes, at My Godly Spark. So that's where you could find me. There you go. Yep, there you go. And just some words of wisdom is to never stop dreaming. I know a lot of times we're in a world where everything is very real, and we're getting a lot of information all the time, 24/7. And I don't know about you guys, but I get kind of tired of seeing every negative and horrible thing that could happen all over the globe. And don't get me wrong, I keep all the whole world in prayer. But me by myself, I can't do anything about that. But God can. God is everywhere. God is in all these nooks and cranny places, all these things that are happening all around us. But all He asks for each one of us, we all have our own individual purpose. He has a plan for each and every one of us by ourselves. And all He asks is that each and every one of us trust Him, trust His guidance, trust His word. Because if each one of us do what we're supposed to do for Him, everything else will fall into place. And He always reminds me of that every time I decide or think that I need to do things on my own, He's like, no, what did my word say? What did I tell you? It's better to sit at His feet and
Yeah.
allow for Him to tell you about you, because we are flawed. We have things all about us that will sit in our feelings for a long period of time, and feelings are so fleeting. But it's nothing like the godly purpose that outlasts that, because a lot of times we'll wake up in the morning feeling a certain way, but life gets to lifing, and then by the end of the day you're in a cranky mood. But we have to realize each and every day is purposed. Each and every day, everybody we're talking to is purposed. That smile might be the only smile that the person has seen all day. So we have to live the godly way. What are those little wristbands? What would Jesus do? We used to wear those all the time. They don't do that anymore. But it was just a little reminder of every situation, as hard as it is, what would Jesus do?
Right.
What would He do in that situation? Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's hard. Yes, life sucks. I get it. Believe me. Yes, things are not what you planned them to be. But again, one of the big things you need to do is stop planning. Stop planning. Like, that was like the biggest thing that resonated with me. He was like, why do you continue to plan? It's not going to work. And I'm like, that's right. You have a plan. I'm
Yeah.
just here as you're created to do what you would have me do. I am molded for your glory. I'm not here for anything else but you. So once you get out of your own way and allow God to settle in your heart and your mind that you are more than conquerors, that greater is He that's within you than who is in the world. You could do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Just let those resonate at each and every day. And every time you feel crappy, remember those things. I swear you'll feel better. There's a peace that comes over you that will surpass all understanding. And you're worth it. You're all beautiful. You're all great. Every time I speak to a new person, I'm just excited for their journey. And I love speaking to new people because I know that I have more to learn, and I'm learning everything every day. And I'm inspired to continue to be inspired by you.
And we have to want and desire to learn. And sometimes
Yes.
sometimes I even seek out new stuff to learn. So let me do.
Yes.
And one of the places that I know I'm guaranteed to find
Hmm.
something new is the Word of God,
Oh
because
my
I'm
God.
sure that
Yes.
I learned everything in that Bible.
No. And I could read the same verse 5 times, 5 different seasons of my life, and go, okay, that resonated differently this time.
Yeah.
Okay, that doesn't sound the same as it did 5 years ago.
You're
He's
right.
like, it means something different each and every time, just like the manna coming from heaven that changes into whatever it is you need at the time. Again, fairy tales got manna from heaven, really, that you could eat, just random manna. I always say, God, you are hilarious, because if I was in that day, I'm like, what do y'all not see? Why are y'all being disobedient? He's feeding us from the
Right.
cloud.
Food from the cloud. Food from the cloud.
Hello, food source from the cloud.
Awesome. I want to say thank you so very much for your time.
No
Thank you for sharing
problem.
your wisdom. Never stop
Yeah.
dreaming because
Yes.
honestly, reading
Mm,
takes you places you will
yes.
never probably ever get to go, but
Yes.
you can always dream to go there.
Yes, you
So
can.
thank you so very much. And I
No
just hope
problem.
that I did you justice with this
Oh,
interview.
yes. I had
Um,
so much fun. Thank you, Valerie.
but you're so welcome. I was excited. So, people, links are in the comment section.
Yes.
Please visit her blog, order her book from her website, from Amazon, and hey, share, share, share.
Yes.
Arthur Taryn Horton Morton. Thank you so very much. And people don't go nowhere because at 4:30 I have the one and only AJ Anthony Journal. Thank you, Taryn.
No problem. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome.
Okay.
God bless you. Awesome. Welcome back. Welcome back. While we are waiting for our next guest to enter the studio, I hope he can make it. Let me just go ahead and put this out here. I also had an interview with a young author. However, at 5 p.m., I have to reschedule her, but I am going to share with you guys her book. Her name is Jordan Weems, and I ask that you keep her in your prayers. She's a little under the weather and will not be able to join us today. But I wanted to go ahead and share with you all Jordan's book. It's called Issues. And when I tell you guys, this book deals with mental illness. And this young lady doesn't realize that this is, for me, reading this book, I actually asked her, was she already working on her second book? So it can be found, of course, on Amazon. It's called Issue, and it is written by Jordan Weems. And let me see if I do. I think I have her picture up here. This is Jordan right here, and so support her. Support our young author Jordan Weems. You can get her book again on Amazon, and the title of the book is titled Issues. Um, Let me just check my email to see. Ah, there we go, AJ. I think AJ. Excuse me, y'all. Just 1 second. Okay, he's on his way. I'm so sorry, y'all. He couldn't find the link to enter. But again, go to Amazon, y'all. This is live, y'all. I have I have no control over this. I can't stop. It's not pre-recorded. This is live. But I want to thank y'all for joining and continuing to stay with us again. Jordan Weems, and the book is titled Issues. Order the book. Share the book. She's a young author. She attends. I believe she is. I'm not sure. I know she's in high school right now. However, doesn't negate you going to purchase her book because I don't know what high school she goes to. Anyway, she was going to be here to share that information with us. So stay tuned. Our next guest is about to come on into our studio in a second. And there he is. Awesome. Oh, let me
Hello, hello, hello.
have to change that. And we are here with Mr. AJ. Hey, AJ, let me tell you, I'm super
Here,
excited about this. I can hear you.
okay,
Can you hear me?
I can.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So I'm excited. I'm excited. I didn't know if I needed to say creator of Blooksy, founder of Blooksy, owner of
It's
Blooksy.
all the same.
It's all the same. It's all the same. Okay, so y'all get ready to listen. If you don't know, you're getting ready to, for me, discover the best thing, like I said, since sliced bread when it comes to writing. So stay tuned out. AJ, I want you to first just tell the people just a little bit about AJ, and then
Okay,
I'm gonna put up Blooksy. I have it waiting. I'm excited. So here we go. AJ, take the floor.
so my name is Anthony Joyner. Everybody calls me AJ. I'm a small town kid from Louisiana. I was raised by my grandmother, which has a huge impact on who I am today. I spent, I guess, the better part of 20 years building software. And probably about a decade ago, I decided to leave corporate America. And I started a marketing agency, and I worked with people in the radio industry, radio, TV, film, all that kind of stuff. I was behind the scenes. I also own a show called the Willie Moore Jr. Show, so I'm going on 6 years on that show. But primarily, what I do today is I help people write and publish books using a software platform that I created called Blooksy. I created it during the pandemic simply because prior to the pandemic, I ran a publishing company and it was very hands on, right? Well, during the pandemic, I thought, what can I build so that people can use the platform and still publish without having to necessarily come through me? So I built Blooksy, and now, again, we have probably about 400 or so people using that. It's in, I think, 7 universities now. We just finished the program in partnership with the city of Atlanta, where we published 28 children. We are launching in 8 schools. So it's just kind of taking a life of its own. I'm really grateful for it. So Valerie is not only a Blooksy user, she's one of my more prominent. And when I say prominent, I mean that's because every time I talk to Valerie, she's like on it. She has a newsletter, she has her book, she's writing another book, she's coaching people. Like, I have a hard time keeping up with her just as much as she does keeping up with me. And I wish I could afford to hire you right now because I'd be like, look, can we just get you to run our newsletter campaigns? But Valerie's awesome. But I think in a nutshell, my whole thing is I think that it should be easier for us to share our stories with the world. And I built Blooksy to lower the barrier for entry for people who want to not only write and publish their books, but dissertations, write grants, which we're doing that now. Academic research papers, children writing essays, like whatever it is. I think that as people of color, it's always been a little more challenging for us to share our stories with the world. So I built Blooksy so that we could do that a little bit more easier. Then I made it a step simpler by adding in artificial intelligence and AI powered voice to text so that you could literally speak your stories into the software because a lot of people struggle with writer's block. So I just wanted to lower all the things that made it hard and help people get their stories out of their head and onto paper. So I think that's a maybe an oversold version of Blooksy, but I really just enjoy helping people for the most part.
Well, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think that I would have continued to write had you not come up with Blooksy. Honestly, I'm grateful that my second book was actually, it was written. It was the beta part of Blooksy's, and but
Uh-huh.
it was written. It was published. And I love it. So what I'm going to do, I am actually going to show the people, I'm going to sign in and I'm going to
Sure.
show you guys how Blooksy looks. And you're gonna even see some of my books because they're there. So you'll see some books that we're working on, and I'm gonna give y'all a peeping, at our next release. There's a collaboration that's going on, so you guys get to see it right here, right now. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna bring Blooksy on in.
Oh, this is so awesome.
I'm gonna let you, AJ, explain because there's three
Yes.
different um theme writers. I don't know what you call them, but three
Three
different.
markets.
Right?
Three markets.
Here
So
it is. So this one.
yeah. So when we built Blooksy initially, if you look to the left, we built it for people who were writing books. Right. That was the initial. We call it use case, but that was the initial user that we were targeting. So if you were writing, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, or poetry, self-help, autobiography, biography, that's our fiction template. Very quickly, I realized after users started giving me feedback that, AJ, I'm using Blooksy for my dissertation. I'm using Blooksy for my research. So I flew out to University of South Florida to visit some of the professors there, and they were literally using it for writing their proposals. It was called a CFP, call for proposal. And so I built an academic template that had all the components that you need to publish research and dissertations, academic articles. Then I thought, okay, well, how can I help children tell stories? So using the same platform, we created a program called Literacy Lab and or Beyond Literacy. And we have now partnered again. We just literally Tuesday published 28 kids in partnership with the city of Atlanta and the mayor's office. And they just tagged me on Instagram today, so I'm super excited about that. But yeah, we partnered with the city of Atlanta and the mayor's office. We published 28 children there. And now we're in actually conversations to create a bigger program with the city to publish children. Hopefully, my stretch goal when I started this was to publish for every child that graduated high school in the city of Atlanta to be a published author.
Wow.
And I'm a big dreamer. So I just put it out there and then I'll start doing the work and things start to happen. So I'm just going to believe in God and, that we will be able to help children, turn their essays, their poetry, their short stories into actual books. So that's why we built the use case or the ability for children to use it to write essays. And yes, we are going into 8 schools this fall in partnership with some nonprofits and some local schools. And also, again, this has happened all in the last probably 2 months. Someone from the DMV area reached out for Prince George County up in the DC area. And again, who knows where that'll go? DeKalb County, someone has also reached out from there. So I am, again, one other thing, Valerie, this just happened Wednesday. The California Department of Corrections. I've met twice with 2 different board members, and this past Wednesday, the warden for one of the institutions in California, they want me to fly out to California September 6th so that the people that are institutionalized, they call them residents, the residents in the institutions can use Blooksy to tell their stories, right? Because this is an opportunity unlike any other. Imagine if every person that's incarcerated had a chance to share their side of the story from their own words. But not only that, but to maybe sell their books back into their communities, and now they're generating revenue to put money on their own books, right? And let's say 1 out of every 5,000 people, they are actually innocent, maybe, right? Now that book goes viral, that story goes viral, you're generating revenue that pours back into the recidivism programming, right? So again, I just see this as an opportunity to not only tell stories, but to change lives generationally. So again, I'm just a big dreamer, a visionary, and that's why I built it. So those are the 3 primary uses for Blooksy, but we're expanding more and more every time I meet someone. We're also one other thing. We built the ability to write grants inside of it as well. And we start developing our grant templates. We have a partnership with a grant writing company. They write grants for K through 12 schools. So they're literally building a course around Blooksy for grant writing. So it's just like, awesome. Man, look at God, right?
That's awesome. Wow.
So,
but you know what, AJ? That in itself is going to help a lot of nonprofit organizations because a lot of times that's their struggle is that
finances.
they
Yep.
can't, write a grant up, that's going to get through, or they can't pay somebody. Oh, wow. Oh, God, glory to God. Okay, let me just take y'all. I'm going to sign in now because I'm a creative writer. So this is the one that I go under. And no, you won't see my password. But here we are. Here we are. Okay, so for y'all that don't know, Expressions of the Soul first volume is actually celebrating its 10th anniversary. Okay. Oh, wait, it's split. Did it come up? Oh, I got to log in again. I forgot. It tells me that. All right, there we go. I think, okay, so share here. There we
There you
go.
go. This
There
looks so amazing. Look at this.
So
Are you
now
recording this, Valerie? Are you recording this?
I am. I
I
am.
got it. Okay.
I
Okay.
am. So, Expression of the Soul. This is volume 2, and this is where volume 2 was written, y'all. I am celebrating the 10th anniversary of Expression of the Soul, volume 1. It was created and published in 2013 in July. So, July 2023 is 10 years. This is the version that is out today, has new poems in it. This is for those, if you're listening, you're getting a sneak preview. This is an actual novel. This is AJ. I'm doing something I've never done before.
Wow.
So The Devil Wears Green is an actual novel that I've been working on for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that with Blooksy and with, time, it's time. So I put it in Blooksy's. And so I'm working on that. But y'all, let me tell y'all, I can show you. Okay, I'm going to go in Expression of the Soul, right? Here we go. Title. It gives you the title.
Yes.
You have the copyright section.
Already built in.
Dedication. And as a matter of fact, if I edit it, you see, you can actually edit and use what you need. And, you don't have to have a forward. You don't have to have a preference, but it's
Correct.
there, y'all. It's
And the
all there.
and the reason we built it this way, so out of the we're about to cross over 400 authors that we published. So we built it with the understanding that when most people start writing a book, they know the stories they want to tell, but there are other things that you need to publish, right? And the first part that Valerie just showed you is called front matter, and everybody sees it, but nobody actually knows it until it's time to publish. Then your publisher is like, "Where's your front matter?" And you're like, "What is front matter?" They're like, "Oh, it's your copyright page, it's your acknowledgement page, it's your introduction, it's your right." So we built all that in. Not only there, but we have instructions on what belongs in each section,
Yeah.
so that you don't have to go and look it up and Google it and figure it out. It's right there for you, right? Then the other thing that we wanted to add was Valerie, would you show them their book, like their chapter titles?
Yep.
So we wanted to add the ability to add chapters very easily, right? So, and navigation. So if any of you, not only if you haven't written a book, that's fine. But imagine if you write a document and it has more than 10 pages, when you need to change page 2, you got to scroll all the way back up to page 2, figure out where you were, and then make your modifications, right? Well, we wanted to, if you're writing a book, you have to imagine if you have 7 chapters and you got to change something in chapter 2, or you want to reorder. You want to make chapter 2 chapter 4 and make chapter 4 chapter 2. In Microsoft Word or Google Docs, you would have to copy all that content, and you would have to highlight it, and you would have to move it out and paste it, then you would have to reorganize it. So with us, we just look at Valerie can just click on edit, and she can drag and drop her chapters in whatever order she wants. Super easy. If she wants to delete a chapter, she can delete a chapter without all the copy paste, without all the other stuff. So we wanted to make it super easy, not only to modify, but to add chapters, right? Valerie wants to add a chapter, she just clicks on add chapter, boom, it automatically adds it, right? So again, we thought after publishing so many people, I saw the same problems over and over again. I'm having a hard time editing, moving my chapter around. I'm having writer's block. So we built in a few other things. We built in AI-powered voice to text. So if you are, click on one of the chapters, Valerie, just click on any chapter. So if you notice over to the right, that's our artificial intelligence that we built. You can click on that. And if you type in any type of subject that you want to talk about, the AI will actually write something about that topic for you. not for you to copy and paste, but to sort of kickstart your brain on that topic, right? And click out of there, Valerie. We built in transcription right next to that. A lot of people, again, you know the story you want to tell, but you can actually click on transcription and you can start talking. A lot of our professors will do that. They're out and about walking their dog, and they'll open their phone up and just start recording. And you can click on start recording. It'll record whatever you're saying real time, automatically correct the punctuation and spelling and all that. And then when you get back to your computer, it's already there, right? Each section we built in a note section. So our thought process was, how can we organize it, right? So that you have your notes from chapter 2 are still with chapter 2. You have your notes for chapter 3 are still with chapter 3. Your transcriptions with chapter 3, like everything is just organized succinctly so that you can very quickly go from idea to book, right? And Valerie, like I said, Valerie is just like far and above what most people are. But we built the ability to collaborate. So if Valerie wants to collaborate with, who is this, Queen Polo? If Valerie wants to collaborate with Queen Polo, she literally can click on the collaboration button, type your email address in, and you guys could collaborate on a book together, right? So again, the premise is, how can we make it easier for authors to get their ideas out of their head and into a book? And I think, by the grace of God, we've been able to do it. And lots of different markets have now seen it and they're using it. So I'm just excited for the possibility of where this can go. And the funny thing is, like, I got to talk to my grandmother maybe once every week and a half or 2 weeks. And she's like, well, grandbaby, I don't know what you're doing with them computers, but are you helping people? Right. So I'm like, yes, ma'am, grandma, we helping people. Right. So
Yes, you
again,
are.
the whole thing is, a lot of times when it comes to us, our stories more than anybody's never get told. Then in the world that we live in right now, they get rewritten. The history is rewritten. But what if we could write our own history? What if my grandmother was able to write a book about her childhood and her experiences and her poetry, her creativity, and then I could give it to my grandchildren or great grandchildren or great great grandchildren.
Exactly.
They can then see the words of their great great grandmother from generations ago. Culturally, we don't have that, right? A lot of the books that have been written, unfortunately, probably 20 times to one, we're writing it that much less. You know what I mean? So again, I'm just super excited about where we are with this, the possibility, and anybody that needs my help, I promise, 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 I'm there for you.
Wow. AJ, when I saw the AI portion added, it blew my mind. Even though people don't realize AI been around a long, 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 long time. It's just like, the development and the growth of it is starting to spread. But
Right.
that's an awesome addition to Blooksies, to be quite honest. And when I saw that I was able to speak my book, let me just be honest, I was happy. I was like, because I think I heard it in one of your videos that it was being added, and I was like, okay, I got to sign in so I can see this and try this. And so I love it. I love it. I love it. Is there anything else you want to share?
No, like I said, I'm just super excited. I think that um, we deserve to have our story shared with the world. And I just want to do my part to make sure that we can do that. Whether it's a personal story, whether it's a story of academic research that needs to be published, whether it's a poem, a haiku, short story, fiction, nonfiction, whatever it is, I just want us to be able to help people do that.
Well, tell grandmama you're doing that. You are doing that. And what they say, if you don't help but one person, you
Right.
help somebody. And
Your living is not in vain.
I'm here. My testimony is that you have helped at least one person.
Thank you.
AJ,
I
thank you
appreciate
for
that.
I know
So,
you're busy.
any questions for me or anything? I'm
Well, actually, we went through the whole thing. I
okay.
actually wanted to, for people to see, to know, because I did a lot of times I try to explain
Sure.
Blooksy, but it's a software program now. It's something that I
Yeah.
learned today from
Hmm.
listening to you. It's not an
Hmm.
app, but I believe that I can still use it on my
Yeah.
phone.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Many
it
people
is.
don't
So
have
we
the
built it.
ability.
Right. We built it in a way that it works on any device, right? But it is software, it's web-based software that you can use on your phone. So it's not in the app store, it's not in any of that. You just go to blooksy.com and you can use it anywhere.
And that's a plus right there in itself for me, because it's like a lot of times apps take up a lot of space on your phone, and Blooksy is pretty
Correct.
big, and it would
Correct.
have been huge.
Yeah.
But I and this software program, y'all, is for anybody for writing anything, as you've heard. Y'all have heard that, right? So check out the website. Go to Blooksy's. I know that you have a story to share. This is the best thing since sliced bread, and I'm gonna keep saying it. I don't care if he don't agree. For
We're
me,
trying to make it better.
I look forward to it, AJ. I thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you for your. Oh, do you have
Thank
any
you.
wisdom you want to leave us writers?
No, I just think that again, the hack or the shortcut is to be systematic about your approach. So when you sit down to write your book, don't try to write the whole thing down. First, think about what are the chapters you want to write. Break it down that way. Then you want to think, what are the stories that I want to talk about in this particular book or in this particular chapter, right? Then you think about what are the details of the story. So every time you sit down, just write a small little piece of it. So that way you're constantly building and you're, like they say, you eat the elephant one bite at a time instead of just trying to sit down and write a book all at once.
And that's something that he teach. I took a 5 day writing course with AJ, and that's one of the things is he teaches us is that don't sit and try to write a whole chapter at one time. Take it piece up, piece at a time. And
Piece
and
by
I'm
piece.
glad that I heard that, and I think that is what sparked me to pick up the book that I have been writing a little bit at a time, write a little bit at a time, but write every day.
Every day. There you go.
Be
There you go. So
consistent in the writing. It's a journey. It's a journey, y'all. I
I love
look forward to the collaboration with Coach. That's my cousin. Okay, that's my cousin AJ. She got a story, so we
it.
might we just might have to collaborate.
Okay. Okay. I love it. Love it.
We have a story. So I am going to let you go, AJ. I thank you. Oh,
Okay.
I need for these people to know how they can reach you, how they can find you on social media. I know where to find you, but
Yes. So the easiest way is I'm AJ Joyner. Let me just type it in here. Give me a second. So Instagram AJ Joyner. That's where I'm most active. If you hit me up there or email me directly at Blooksy, Blooksy.com, those are the two best and easiest ways to reach me. And I try to reply to everything. Now, the more time passes, the busier or the fuller my inbox is starting to get now. But I try to respond to everything as quickly as I can.
awesome. Awesome. So if y'all are looking to write a book or dissertation for y'all college students, let's head on over to blooksy.com.
I love it.
Thank you, AJ. I
Thank
enjoyed
you. Have a good day.
you too. All right. Bye bye.
Okay. Okay. Bye bye.
Awesome. 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 So, guys, I want to invite you all to tomorrow's live. We have two new authors that we will be sharing conversation with. We will be conversing. So 5 o'clock p.m. tomorrow as opposed to 4 p.m. And I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to y'all that was here. Thank you, Wanda, for joining. I appreciate it and for coming. And I love you, cousin, with all my heart. And I want y'all to know that I love y'all and y'all can't do nothing about it. And I will see you all tomorrow. Amen. Stay blessed.